There is a moment in the aftermath of narcissistic abuse when the storm inside you begins to quiet, not because the pain has vanished, but because you've stopped waiting for an apology that will never come. Healing begins when you stop trying to fix the past and start reclaiming your future. Have you ever wondered why the memories still sting? Why their voice echoes in your mind long after they're gone? Narcissistic abuse doesn't just wound the heart, it rewires the mind. It teaches you to doubt your worth, to mistrust your instincts, to kneel at the altar of their approval. But what happens when you finally stand? The illusion breaks, seeing the truth behind the mask. There comes a moment in the healing journey, a quiet, seismic shift, when the fog lifts and you finally see not just what they did, but who they truly were. The narcissist's entire power depended on your belief in their illusion. But when that illusion cracks, their control crumbles with it. Why the narcissist fears your awakening. Narcissists don't just lie. They build entire realities around their lies. They need you to believe that their version of events is the only truth, that their emotions are more important than yours, that their love, toxic and conditional, was the best you'd ever get. But when you wake up, when you stop negotiating with their delusions, something terrifying happens to them. They become ordinary. No longer the misunderstood genius, the wounded martyr, the victim of circumstance, just a flawed, manipulative person, stripped of the fantasy they worked so hard to sell. The 5 stages of shattering the illusion. The first, doubt. That subtle voice whispering, "Something isn't right here." You dismiss it at first. Maybe I'm overreacting? But it grows louder. The cognitive dissonance. They say they love me, but why do I feel so small? Your heart clings to the good moments, but your gut screams danger. The breaking point. A lie exposed. A mask slipping. A moment so cruel, you can't unsee it. This is where the spell starts to break. The research phase. You Google their behavior. You find terms like gaslighting, love bombing, narcissistic abuse. It's not just you. They all do this. The final realization. This wasn't love. This was control. The illusion isn't just cracked. It's shattered. What happens when you stop believing the lies? They panic. Narcissists need your belief to sustain their false self. When you withdraw it, they scramble, hoovering, guilt-tripping, playing victim. Their worst fear? Being seen without their costume? You grieve, but differently. Not just the loss of the relationship, but the loss of the fantasy. The person you loved never really existed. That's a pain unlike any other. The truth becomes your weapon. Not for revenge, but for freedom. Every time you refuse to engage, every time you say, "I see you," their power dims. How to solidify the break, so you never fall back in. Write the truth down list, every lie, every manipulation, every moment your gut warned you. Read it when the doubt creeps back. Stop seeking closure from them. Narcissists don't give closure. They recycle drama. Your closure comes from accepting they are incapable of change. Reclaim your narrative. They rewrote your story to make themselves the hero or the victim. Now, you take the pen back. This is what really happened. Watch their mask slip with others. Once you see the pattern, you'll notice it everywhere. Their new supply, their friends, their family. The illusion was never just for you. It's their entire life. The spiritual shift, when God reveals what was hidden. Scripture says, "For nothing is hidden that will not be made manifest, nor is anything secret that will not be known and come to light." Luke 8:17. Narcissists thrive in darkness, in twisted truths, in whispered accusations, in the shadows where doubt grows. But God is light. When He reveals the truth, it's not to shame you, it's to free you. That moment of clarity, that's divine protection. The ultimate test: can you stay awake? The narcissist will try to lure you back into the dream. You'll never find someone who understands you like I do. Everyone else left you. I'm the only one who stayed. But now, you know the truth. They didn't stay to love you. They stayed to control you. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. Rebuilding self-worth, reclaiming the soul. They tried to destroy the most devastating lie. Narcissistic abuse plants in your mind is not about them. It's about you. It whispers, "You deserved this. No one else will love you. You're too broken to heal." But here's the truth they never wanted you to discover. Your worth was never theirs to define. Rebuilding self-worth after narcissistic abuse isn't about fixing yourself. It's about remembering who you were before they made you forget. The narcissist's war on your self-worth. Narcissists don't just criticize you, they systematically dismantle your sense of self. Their tactics: the devaluation cycle. First, they idealize you, you're perfect, making you addicted to their praise. Then, they devalue you, you're worthless, ensuring you'll beg for scraps of their former love. Finally, they discard you, but leave the door open, so you keep trying to prove your worth to them. Gaslighting, making you doubt your reality. That never happened. You're too sensitive. Over time, you stop trusting your own memories, emotions, and instincts. Isolation, cutting you off from validation. They smear you to friends, family, or coworkers, ensuring no one else reflects your true value back to you. You become dependent on them for any sense of belonging. Future faking, keeping you hooked on empty promises. Things will be better when you move in together, get married, have a child, etc. But the goalpost always moves. You're left chasing a future that never comes. The 5 stages of rebuilding your self-worth. Stage 1. The withdrawal phase. Breaking the addiction. Narcissistic abuse is psychological heroin. Your brain was chemically addicted to their intermittent reinforcement. Cycles of cruelty followed by fleeting kindness. What helps? No contact or gray rock. If you must co-parent, every interaction resets the withdrawal clock. Journal the withdrawal symptoms: anxiety, obsessive thoughts, guilt. This is not love. This is detox. Stage 2. Rewiring your brain, undoing the gaslighting. Your nervous system has been trained to seek their approval. Now, you must reprogram it. What helps? Affirmations that counter their lies. I do not need permission to exist. My emotions are valid, even if they inconvenience others. I am not responsible for their happiness. Reality checks. Keep a list of undeniable facts about their abuse. Read it when doubt creeps in. Stage 3. Rebuilding your identity. Who were you before them? Narcissists don't just attack your confidence, they erase your identity. You became a mirror, reflecting only their needs. What helps? The before and after exercise. Write down, what did you love before them? How did you spend your time? What made you feel alive? Now ask, what parts of yourself did you abandon to please them? Try new or old hobbies. Paint, hike, dance, write. Reclaim the joy they mocked or controlled. Stage 4. Setting unshakable boundaries. The ultimate self-worth test. Narcissists hate boundaries because boundaries you don't control me. What helps? The non-negotiables list. I will not tolerate yelling. I will not justify my needs. I will not stay in a conversation where I'm belittled. Practice saying no. Start small. No, I can't help with that, and build. Stage 5. Spiritual reconnection. Your worth was never in their hands. The deepest wound narcissistic abuse leaves isn't emotional. It's spiritual. It makes you doubt your divine worth. What helps? Scriptures for the brokenhearted. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Psalm 139, verse 14. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted. Psalm 34:18. Prayer for self-worth. God, show me who I am in your eyes, not theirs. The ultimate truth. You were never the problem. Narcissists target empaths, givers, and deeply loving people because they know. You'll blame yourself long before they ever take accountability. You'll agonize over what could I have done differently, while they never once self-reflect. But here's the secret they fear you'll realize. Their cruelty was never about you. It was about the emptiness inside them. You weren't too sensitive. You were human. You weren't needy. You were starved of basic decency. You weren't unlovable. You were loving the wrong person. Rewrite the narrative, reclaiming your story from the narcissist's lies. The narcissist didn't just manipulate your emotions. They hijacked your entire life story. They cast themselves as the hero, the victim, or the misunderstood genius, while scripting you as the villain, the abuser, or the unstable one. But now, the pen is back in your hands. How narcissists control through narrative. Narcissists are master storytellers. They don't just lie, they rewrite reality to serve their ego. Here's how they distort your story. Gaslighting the past. That never happened. You're remembering it wrong. They make you doubt your own memories, so you rely on their version of events. The blame-shifting script. Every conflict somehow ends with you apologizing. They reframe their abuse as your fault. I wouldn't have yelled if you hadn't provoked me. You made me cheat. You weren't giving me enough attention. The false victim narrative. To outsiders, they paint themselves as the wounded one. They smear you subtly. I'm just so worried about her mental state. The you'll never do better myth. They convince you that no one else will love you like they do. You're lucky they put up with you. These narratives aren't just cruel. They're psychological imprisonment. Step 1. Uncover the lies. The truth audit. Before you can rewrite your story, you must identify the false scripts they implanted in your mind. Exercise. The 2 columns. Method. Left column. Write their version of events. I was the patient 1. You were always overreacting. You were the problem in the relationship. Right column. Write the actual truth. I reacted normally to abnormal behavior. The real problem was their refusal to take accountability. Seeing the contrast in black and white weakens their brainwashing. Step 2. Reclaim your voice. The testimony exercise. Narcissists silence you because they fear what you'll say when you speak freely. Now, it's time to tell your story, without their edits. How to write your testimony. Write a letter you'll never send detailing the worst things they did, the lies they told, how they made you feel. Then, write a second letter to your future self. This is what I survived, and I'm still standing. This isn't about revenge, it's about reclaiming your truth. Step 3. Rewrite the core. Beliefs they installed narcissists don't just distort events, they rewire your self-perception. To heal, you must dismantle their false programming. False belief versus new truth. Their lie, your truth. You're too sensitive. I am emotionally aware. You're crazy. I reacted normally to abuse. No one else will love you. I am worthy of healthy love. Repeat your truths daily, out loud. Step 4. Change the narrative with others. Narcissists isolate you by controlling how others see you. Now, you take back that power. How to correct the record. With friends, shock your family. I know they told you I was unstable, but the truth is, I was being emotionally abused. At work, if they smear you. There's someone from my past spreading false stories. If you hear anything, I'd appreciate you checking with me first. You don't have to justify, just state the truth plainly. Step 5. Create a new life story where you're the hero. The final step? Stop living in their story entirely. Write a new one. Exercise. The future self visualization. Close your eyes. Imagine yourself 5 years from now, fully healed. Ask, what does he know that I don't yet? How did he finally break free? Write down the answers. This is your roadmap. Why this works. The spiritual power of testimony scripture says, they triumphed by the word of their testimony, Revelation 12:11. There's supernatural power in speaking your truth aloud. Every time you say, I wasn't the problem, their abuse was. I am not who they said I was. You break another chain. Rebuilding self-worth. The complete guide to rediscovering your value. After narcissistic abuse doesn't just damage your emotions, it systematically destroys your fundamental sense of worth. This comprehensive guide will walk you through the multi-layered process of reconstructing your self-esteem from the ground up. Understanding how narcissists erode self-worth, the systematic devaluation process. Love bombing phase, how they create dependency through excessive praise. Gradual devaluation, the slow drip of criticism that replaces admiration. Discard phase, the ultimate rejection that confirms all your fears. Psychological warfare, tactics, gaslighting, and reality distortion, projection of their flaws onto you. The crazy-making cycle of hot-cold behavior. Neurological impact, how intermittent reinforcement creates addiction. Trauma bonding explained at a biological level. The actual brain changes caused by prolonged abuse. The 5 pillars of self-worth reconstruction. Pillar 1. Physical reconnection. Trauma-informed yoga and somatic therapy. Nutrition for nervous system repair. The science of exercise and neuroplasticity. Pillar 2. Emotional rehabilitation. How to identify and name suppressed emotions. Creating a feeling vocabulary. The journaling techniques that rebuild self-trust. Pillar 3. Cognitive restructuring. Identifying and replacing toxic thought patterns. The thought record technique. Developing psychological flexibility. Pillar 4. Social reintegration. How to spot healthy versus toxic relationships. Setting boundaries that protect your recovery. The art of receiving compliments authentically. Pillar 5. Spiritual realignment. Rediscovering your core values. Developing self-compassion practices. Creating personal rituals of self-affirmation. The Advanced Recovery Toolkit. The Self-Worth Assessment. A detailed 50-point checklist to evaluate your progress. How to interpret your results. Creating a personalized improvement plan. The Mirror Work Protocol, step-by-step instructions for daily practice. Common obstacles and how to overcome them. Tracking your progress over 30, 60, 90 days. The Affirmation Matrix. How to create customized affirmations that actually work. The neuroscience behind effective affirmations. Common affirmation mistakes to avoid. The Boundary Blueprint. Identifying your non-negotiables. Scripts for enforcing boundaries. Handling boundary violations with grace. Specialized recovery paths. For parents in recovery. Breaking the cycle of generational trauma. Modeling healthy self-worth for children. Co-parenting with a narcissist. Career and financial recovery. Rebuilding professional confidence. Negotiating salaries and promotions. Financial independence after financial abuse. Creative recovery using art therapy techniques. Writing as healing music and movement therapies. The long-term maintenance plan. Quarterly self-assessment tools. Early warning signs of backsliding. Creating your personal support ecosystem. When to seek professional help. Rebuilding self-worth after narcissistic abuse isn't about returning to who you were. It's about becoming someone even stronger. With these comprehensive tools and strategies, you're not just recovering, you're engineering an unshakable foundation of self-value that no one can ever take from you again. The final stage. Indifference. The sacred art of soul-level detachment. True freedom from narcissistic abuse does not come from hatred, revenge, or even forgiveness. It comes from indifference, not the cold, empty indifference of apathy, but the sacred detachment of a soul that has outgrown its oppressor. This is not just emotional healing, it is spiritual evolution. What indifference really means: one, indifference versus hatred versus forgiveness. Hatred, still emotionally chained to them. Forgiveness, a noble goal, but often premature before true healing. Indifference, they no longer occupy mental or emotional space in your life. 2. The 5 levels of indifference. Surface indifference. You pretend not to care but still check their social media. Cognitive indifference. You stop obsessing, but they still trigger you. Emotional indifference. You feel nothing when their name comes up. Soul indifference. You forget they exist for days at a time. Sacred indifference. You actually wish them well, not because you're spiritual, but because they simply don't matter anymore. The science of indifference. 1. Neurological rewiring. Narcissistic abuse creates addictive neural pathways. Trauma bonding equals like cocaine for the brain. Indifference occurs when new neural pathways override the old ones. 2. The 90-day reset rule. It takes 3 months of absolute no contact for the brain to start detoxing. After 6 months, emotional withdrawal symptoms fade. After 1 year, the addiction is broken in most cases. 3. The amygdala reset. The amygdala, fear center, is hyperactive post-abuse indifference. The amygdala finally calms down. The 7-step path to indifference. Step 1. The final funeral. Hold a symbolic funeral for the relationship. Write a eulogy. Here lies the illusion of who I thought they were. Bury it, literally or metaphorically. Step 2. The no-contact sanctuary. Absolute silence, no peeking, no responding, no innocent check-ins. Block everywhere, even if they changed. Step 3. The memory purge. Delete photos. Donate gifts. Cleanse your space with sage or prayer. Step 4. The identity rebuild. Make a list. Who was I before them? Then, who do I want to be now? Step 5. The emotional bank account. Every time you don't react, you deposit energy back into yourself. Every time you stalk or ruminate, you make a withdrawal. Step 6. The they's dead test. Imagine they died. Would you feel relief? You're not indifferent yet. Grief? Still trauma-bonded. Nothing? Indifference achieved. Step 7. The ultimate litmus test. When you hear they're happy with someone new, you feel jealousy equals still healing. Anger equals still healing, good for them, and genuinely mean it. Indifference, the spiritual alchemy of indifference. 1. The law of reverse effort. The harder you try to stop caring, the more you do. Indifference comes when you focus on your own soul's expansion. 2. The holy disconnect prayer for indifference. God, sever every unhealthy cord, not with hatred, but with holy detachment. I release them to their journey and reclaim my peace. 3. The divine replacement theory. God removes toxic people to make space for divine connections. Indifference accelerates when new, healthy love enters. The 5 signs you've reached. True indifference. You forget their birthday, not on purpose. It just doesn't register. You hear their name and feel nothing. No flinch, no reaction. You can't remember their phone number. The brain purges useless data. You feel gratitude for the lessons, but zero desire to revisit them. You don't care if they're happy or miserable. Their life is no longer your business. When indifference feels impossible. If you're stuck, try EMDR therapy for trauma processing. Repeat mantras. My peace is more important than their presence. I release what no longer serves my soul. Visualization. Imagine putting them in a balloon and letting it float away. The final freedom. Indifference is not the absence of feeling. It is the presence of self-love so strong, their existence no longer disturbs your waters. You'll know you're free when the thought of them inspires neither love nor hate. You realize they were never the villain. Just a lesson. Your life is so full. Their absence feels like grace. Final declaration. I am no longer a prisoner of their narrative. I am free. Not because they changed, but because I grew. And in that growth, I found peace. If you're on the path to indifference, comment, I choose peace below. Like and subscribe for more deep healing wisdom. Your freedom is worth fighting for.